Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and I hope everyone's doing well. So at this point I'm kind of in between videos. I think the last 5 videos that I did were actually reviews, and it's kind of funny, I'm sort of getting known for doing reviews now, which is not really what I intended to do when I first set out to make a channel, but you know, I'll take it. I'm happy to do them and people seem happy to watch them, so it's all good. But yeah, the last 5 videos were reviews and I'm sort of just waiting for Tales of Arise to be released so I can get into playing it, recording it and putting together a review for that. So I thought, well, I haven't done one of these kind of opinion videos in a little while, so why not do one now? Basically, I just wanted to talk about the PlayStation 5 Storage, and in particular how a lot of people are saying that it's very light, like it really should have more storage. But obviously, before we get into that, I just want to say that we're really close to that 1,000 subscriber milestone, which is awesome. We just passed 900, and it really does show that every single person matters when it comes to subscriptions, so if you do end up enjoying the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. So let's get on to the actual topic of the PlayStation 5's hard drive. So I'm not using a script for this, I just kinda wanted to do it casually and just chat to you guys and see what you thought about the subject. I've got some bullet points to keep me on track, but other than that, this is just going to be a casual thing. So, a couple of weeks ago I started to hear from, I think I can't remember exactly where, but there was various places saying different things about the PlayStation 5. Now, I'm not a fanboy of any particular console, I just like games, you know, it just is what it is, and I like pretty much every console for their things that they do well. You know, I don't tend to say one's better than the other. I know where I prefer to play, but that's just usually because of exclusives. It doesn't mean that it's better, it's just where I like to play, you know? And I started to hear a lot of people saying that the storage on the PlayStation 5 is just really meager and it really should be higher, and it's, you know, really easy to fill up, and it should have been over a terabyte and all this stuff. And my first initial reaction to that when I heard it or read it was essentially, really? You know, like I sort of couldn't believe it, because again, it's not to say that they're wrong, it's just that it's something that never really occurred to me personally, so I'll try and explain what I mean. The PlayStation 5 has, I believe, 825 gig and it's a super fast SSD, and you only get around 670 gigabytes of data as usable space for your saves and for installing games. So initially when you hear 670 gig, you kind of think, well, yeah, that is a lot lower, because I remember my PS4 Pro had, I think, 1 terabyte, and I'm pretty sure there's a 2 terabyte model out there as well for the PlayStation and for the Xbox. So as I say, initially you think, well, that's actually quite a downgrade. But without trying to sound like I'm just blindly defending it, there are, I think, 2 things to keep in mind. Firstly, this new super fast SSD that Sony's put in here is quite expensive to make, so I would have imagined if they had have gone with, let's say, a terabyte or something, then it probably would have ended up making the console cost another $100 or £80 or whatever the case may be. So there is that to think of. Secondly, a lot of games do use less data on the PlayStation 5 versus the PlayStation 4 because of the fact that they're able to compress the data better, and they don't need multiple copies of things that you would normally have to use on the PS4, simply because it can stream the data much quicker. I mean, I don't remember which game it was, but I literally just read the other day that there's a game that's 20 gig smaller on the PS5 versus the PS4. It might have been Tales of Arise actually. I think it was, yeah, but either way, it's something to keep in mind. It's not, you know, the be all and end all reason, but it is something just to sort of be aware of, right? And so with those 2 things in mind, you kind of think, well, having 670 gig isn't that bad. But then obviously, I started to think about this from other, you know, viewpoints, from other perspectives, because that's just something I like to do on this channel. People that are subscribed to me already will probably know that I tend to want to look at other viewpoints rather than just spout my own opinions as if they're facts. I've just never been that kind of person. I like to sit down and look at things from various angles and from various viewpoints of different people to try and see why they think the way they do. So I came up with a couple of different things here. I've personally never filled up a console hard drive, and this is just me personally, you know, I've never done that. No matter how big the hard drive was or how small the hard drive was, I've never filled one up. But as I said, I like different opinions, so I tried to think about it. I read a lot of different opinions to what I have. I looked on Reddit, I looked on YouTube, I looked in various places to find different viewpoints. And what the different viewpoints seem to be is that some people like to download everything, like all their games and whatnot, and keep it downloaded. They like to have sort of like a digital library at their disposal whenever they want to use it, right? Which is completely understandable. You want, say, let's say you have, I don't know, 30, 40 games, you know, some PS5 games, some PS4 games, some smaller indie games perhaps mixed in there, and you just want all of them on your system so that you can turn the console on and play whatever you want, instead of having a shelf full of discs, right? Completely get that. I do understand it. But for me personally, my viewpoint is that I only have, let's say, 3 or 4 games installed at once because I can't play more than that at once. Maybe it's just me, I really don't know, but for me personally, let's just take a couple of games as an example. I'm currently playing Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut on PS5 at the moment, and let's just say let's just pick some random games out of the air. Let's say I have Assassin's Creed Valhalla installed, let's say I have the remake of Demon's Souls installed, and let's say I've got, I don't know, a couple of indie games installed as well, right? Well, that's like 5 games there. How am I going to play 5 games at once? You can only really play one at once, and I'm not saying you should only have one game installed, you know, until you're ready to play something else. But once you start to get into the realm of having 3, 5, 8, 10 games installed, how do people honestly ping pong back and forth between them? Because that's really not something I've ever done as, you know, as a player of what, nearly 30 years now in you know, playing video games. I've never done that. So to me, that seems really weird. And if you now go back to the storage amount, 670 gig, you can see why I've never filled up a console, because I install, let's say, 5 games, maybe 6 or 7 games at a time. You know, sometimes I might get a review code or something where I need an extra game installed, but then I move to that game and play just that game. You know, I don't bounce backwards and forwards, as I just said. So really, my takeaway from all of this must just be that some people just like to have everything installed, you know, all at once. I mean, that's what I assume. But for me, that's just not really an option. I don't know whether it's just because I'm much more of a console gamer and I've always been a console gamer. And on top of that, I don't really support digital downloads that much. I mean, they have their place, of course, and, you know, we could get into a whole discussion about that. But in general, I like to be able to buy the discs, and that's getting harder and harder to do because, you know, all the data you need isn't always on the disc. And, you know, some games, they release the digital version like a month before they release the physical version. And that's actually happened, a really quick tangent, with that Kenner Bridge of Spirits. I was really looking forward to that, actually, and I had it pre-ordered physically, and then I just kept noticing that there was no box art put up for it or anything, you know, related to the game. Nothing was really happening, and I'm like, well, we're a month away, why isn't this confirmed yet? You know, why isn't the box art confirmed and the price confirmed and all this? And then I went to Twitter and found out from the actual developers that, yeah, it's coming out digitally on September 21st, I think. And they directly told me that they wouldn't be doing a physical version of the game at launch, which to me is frankly ridiculous. I know other people have different opinions on downloads and physical copies and all that. I get it, and that's fine. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong, and I'm not here to tell you that I'm right. I'm just saying, this kind of thing, it must just be based on, this whole thing that I'm talking about, I mean, must just be based on who you are as a person, you know, like how you like to do these things. And in all honesty, there just doesn't seem to be a right answer, because some people are saying that the PlayStation 5 needs far more storage, and I personally think it's got just about enough, really. It could do with some more. I could understand it for those people that do want to keep all their games installed, but at the end of the day, for me, I just don't feel like it needs much of an upgrade. And while we're on the subject of upgrades, that M.2 slot that it has, you know, for the upgraded SSD on the PlayStation 5, that is going to be a pain in the ass for so many people. I'm never going to use it, I don't think, because I just have no reason to need the extra storage. But for people that want to upgrade the PlayStation storage, I mean, if you know how to do computer stuff, if you know how to build computers, or you're at least a little bit tech savvy, you can probably do it okay. But for the vast majority of people that just want to play their games or plug in a hard drive, you know, it's going to be a pain, and people are going to get the wrong SSDs, and, you know, mums and dads trying to get presents for their kids for Christmas, you know, get them a bigger hard drive so that they can have more games. It's just, I can just see it going completely wrong, but it's just such a weird situation to be in, because for me 670 gig is more than enough, but for some people it's nowhere near enough. It's such a strange concept. But I'm not really interested in who's right and who's wrong in this situation. I'm just far more interested in how each individual deals with this situation. I've just always been fascinated how, two people can look at the exact same thing, whether it's a product, a piece of art, or listen to some music, or whatever the case may be, and then both have completely polar opposite viewpoints. It's always been fascinating to me. I've always wondered, is it down to your upbringing? Is it down to your surroundings? What makes you think the way you do? I've always found that really quite interesting. But another thing on a quick tangent that was a bit of an issue for some people was the PlayStation 5 Stand, of all things. So when I got my PlayStation 5, I took it out the box, I took the stand out, I did what I was supposed to do, put the stand on the console, and now my console sits horizontally under my TV. And that's it, that's the end of it. But I've seen people out there saying, oh, it shouldn't come with a stand, it shouldn't require a stand, it's ridiculous, it's bad design. And I'm just like, there's first world problems and there's first world problems. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand, I understand that it's one of these things that, again, is personal opinion, but I can't see that the stand is actually a problem. Is it really a problem to you that a console comes with a stand? That's something that I find really odd. But again, I don't hold it against you if you don't like the stand. Like, if that's how you feel, sure, then that's how you feel. I'm not going to take that away from you. But if you don't like the stand, tell me why. I'd really be interested to know why you don't like the console having a stand, or why you think it shouldn't need it, should have been designed differently to not need it. What kind of difference would that make, right? And that goes for the storage as well. I'd really like to know where you come down on it, where you feel you sit. Is 670 gig enough for you? Or are you someone that really likes to just have everything downloaded at once? As I said, me personally, I don't. I tend to download maybe 3 to 5 games at once, play those, and when I'm finished, I just delete them off the console, and then I play and then download something else and play that. That's how I tend to do things. But let me know how you do things. Let me know what you think about all this. I'd be genuinely interested to know where my audience lies and what their feelings are towards this. So let's try and have a chat in the comments below. Ask me some questions, leave me a comment, anything you want to say about this subject. I'd be really happy to hear from you. If you're new around here and this is the first video of mine that you've seen, please take a look at my other work, and if you like what you see, please do consider subscribing. If you want to support the channel even further, all the important links are in the description as always. But with all that said, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.